Hey there, so this is Ira Pasternack with WebForDoctors, and today I'm going to walk you through a flowchart that we use to help decide how we're going to respond to different reviews. And this is something that you can use in your medical practice also. One caveat, we are not attorneys. I am not a lawyer, and I do not play one on the internet. And so please, with regard to HIPAA compliance or any other legal matters, consult with your legal representatives. But here are some tips and, again, a workflow of how we look at the process of responding to online reviews. So let's move me out of the way and let's get zoomed into this flowchart here. So first of all, we're going to assess, is the review positive or negative? Negative generally means 3 stars or fewer. Now, technically, it could be a 5-star review, but have negative comments. So you can kind of decide for yourself what's ultimately negative, but generally 3 stars or fewer are the ones you want to be looking at as negative, whereas 4 or 5 stars is generally positive. Now, if that review is very specific and includes details, we're going to go down one path. If it's a general review it just says, hey, great service, or something very generic, you want to consider a simple and polite thank you, usually in private unless you haven't made any other public responses recently. Some people like to respond to every single review they get, but if you're getting a good flow of reviews, it gets a little bit excessive to respond to every single one. So for the generic ones, you can just kind of thank the person privately if the review platform gives you that option, or if you're getting just tons of reviews and some are generic, you don't necessarily need to respond to every single one of those. Let's move me over here for now. And so now if the general review, that's kind of where that flow ends. Now, if it's a specific review, you want to ask yourself, are there any details that you can either correct or expand on without your reply just turning into an outright sales pitch? So if you can reinforce something from the review that's something you want to reinforce, or something along those lines, then you get a yes here. And in that case, you want to thank the reviewer and add your correction or other details. Again, doing so in a HIPAA compliant way, not talking about their specific case, but citing general policies is a good way to think about that. Or otherwise, speaking to generalities about how you deal with situations like the one that they brought up, is probably going to be a safe way to do that. Again, we're not lawyers, but that's generally what we see people doing. All right, so now if there are no details that you can correct or expand upon, are the comments nicer than most? Then in that case, a public thank you is a nice touch. If it's just kind of a standard comment, then again, a private response, so you don't necessarily need to respond to every single one of those, depending on if a private response is allowed on the platform in question. If you know who the person is in real life, the next time you see them, a personal thank you is a great way to go there also. So there we go. Those are the ways to kind of think through and respond to a positive review. So let's go, and this is where obviously things get a little tougher when you have some kind of a negative review. Let's think through what we want to do there. So 3 stars or fewer or other negative comments. First thing is you want to ask yourself, can we get this review removed? Generally, the way you can get a review removed is if that review clearly violates the terms of service of the review platform. So, for example, Google does not want reviews from employees of a company. So if a review clearly states that it's the perspective of an employee and not a customer, that could be enough to potentially report to Google. They won't always do it, but that can get a review removed. So you want to familiarize yourself with the terms of the various review platforms. If something violates those terms, you want to report it and work on getting that removed in that way. Now, if it doesn't violate any terms, if it's just someone's opinion, and it's a general negative comment, you want to attempt to reach out and directly apologize, ask the reviewer how you can improve. Use this as an opportunity to hold a mirror up to your practice and look at how, again, you can take this feedback. It may be tough to swallow sometimes. You may not always agree with it, but if you can kind of hear it and absorb it and learn from it, ultimately, it's going to make you a better person, a better practice. Ultimately, if private reply is not possible or doesn't get a response, you can consider a public apology and a request for the reviewer to call you. Again, doing so where you're not acknowledging specifics of their situation, but just make sure that they know that you are available if they would like to follow up in more detail. Now, if the review is more specific, and you agree with what they say, and you say, you know what, you were right. You want to say, hey, what are we going to do to fix this issue? Post that as an updated policy or just what you're going to do to solve or fix the situation. Moving along here now, if you disagree with their specific review comments, can you objectively prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, over here, beyond a shadow of a doubt that the comments are false? If so, and you're interested in bringing lawyers involved, you may be able to have a libel situation where you can address that with the person. If you are interested in speaking to that attorney, you can follow the attorney's advice. A simple letter is, we've seen in the past, been enough to get someone to change a review. Ultimately, that is escalating things. It can have other ramifications, but it is something that you should consider, or could consider anyway. Now, if you're not interested in bringing lawyers in, then ultimately you want to stay diplomatic, explain your business's general policy regarding the issue, and a polite apology as necessary. If we shift back up here, and if you, again, disagree, but you can't objectively prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're basically going to skip all thoughts of an attorney, go right to the stay diplomatic stage, and go from there. So there you have it. There is our spreadsheet, our flow chart on how to respond to online reviews. If you would like a copy of this spreadsheet in a high-res PDF form, drop a comment or send me a direct message, depending on what platform you're seeing this video on, and we would be happy to send you that document. And hopefully this has been helpful, and let us know if you have any other follow-up questions.